Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I'm 63 years old, married to my husband Daniel for nearly 40 years. We have one child, our daughter Emily, who is now 34. On paper, we've had what most people would consider a stable, successful family life. Daniel worked full-time as an engineer, moving steadily up the ranks over the decades. I stayed home, raised Emily, and kept our home running. It was a choice Daniel and I made together when I was pregnant. We talked about it seriously, the cost of childcare, the kind of upbringing we wanted for our child, our values. I believed then, and still do now, that being a stay-at-home mother is not a lesser role. I grew up with a stay-at-home mother myself. My own mom poured her life into raising me, managing our household, and creating a warm, steady environment. I never once thought less of her because she didn't have a corporate job or a title outside the home. She was the glue that held our family together, and she taught me that the work inside the home is just as vital as the work outside of it. But Emily, she's never seen it that way. From her teenage years onward, she's made it painfully clear that she thinks my life has been, well, a waste. It started subtly, little comments about how she could never just stay home all day, or needed more than cooking and cleaning to feel fulfilled. I brushed it off at first. She was young, ambitious, eager to carve her own path. I told myself she'd grow out of the condescension once she understood how much work it actually takes to run a home and raise a child. Instead, it got worse. As she went to university, then into a high-powered marketing job, she became openly dismissive of what I did. She'd say things like, "You've never had a real career," or "You've never done anything with your life." Once, after reading some motivational book about high-achieving women, she told me she hoped I'd at least find a hobby, so I wouldn't wither away when Dad retired. The worst comment, the one that has echoed in my head for years, happened during a family dinner. Emily was talking about her friend's mother, a corporate lawyer. She looked me straight in the eye and said, "Honestly, I'm surprised Dad never found himself a mistress. It must be boring to come home after work to a wife whose only stories are about what pie she baked today, or which TV show she binge-watched." She said it in front of Daniel, and she laughed, like it was the funniest thing in the world. Daniel told her off in the moment, but you can't unhear something like that. I remember feeling my face go hot, my appetite vanishing instantly. I smiled through the rest of dinner, but when I went to bed that night, I cried quietly into my pillow. Daniel and I have always had a good marriage. He's never made me feel lesser for staying home. But hearing my own daughter, the person I gave everything to, belittle me like that, as if my existence is some long, boring joke, was like a punch in the gut. And then there's Patricia, Emily's mother-in-law. Patricia is a senior executive at a multinational corporation. She's glamorous, constantly traveling for work, always impeccably dressed. Emily idolizes her. Whenever we talk, I hear about Patricia's latest business trip, the deals she's closed, the parties she attends. Emily talks about her like she's some sort of queen. She's so driven, so inspiring. She's the kind of woman I want to be. I don't begrudge Patricia her success. But Emily's hero worship of her comes with a nasty side effect, constant comparisons to me. Emily makes it clear that Patricia is what a real woman looks like, and that I'm, well, not. It's like she sees Patricia as the mother she wishes she had. Ambitious, powerful, interesting. And me? I'm just the stay-at-home mom who, in her eyes, has nothing to offer beyond baking pies and folding laundry. This past Christmas was the moment that broke me. Every year, we do a family gift exchange at our house. I spend weeks preparing, baking cookies, decorating the tree, planning a nice meal. I put care into choosing gifts for everyone, even wrapping them beautifully. It's not about money for me. It's about making people feel thought of. When it was time to open presents, Emily handed Patricia a large, beautifully wrapped box. She stood up and made a little speech. "Patricia, you've been such an inspiration to me. Such a driven career woman. And I know you never take time for yourself, so I wanted to give you something special this year." Patricia opened the box to find a voucher for a weekend at a luxury resort, the kind with spa treatments, fine dining, and ocean views. Emily hugged her and said, "You deserve this. You've worked so hard." Everyone oohed and ahed. Then Emily handed me my gift. I unwrapped it to find an iron. Not a fancy top-of-the-line one, just a mid-range steam iron, still in the store bag. Emily smiled and said, "I noticed yours is old and figured you could use an upgrade." I felt my cheeks burn. Patricia gets a heartfelt speech and a luxury getaway. I get an appliance, a tool to do more chores. No acknowledgement, no sentiment, just, "Here, keep ironing." The message was loud and clear. You are the help, not the inspiration. I kept my face neutral because I refused to give her the satisfaction of seeing me upset. But inside, I felt something snap. Years of condescension, dismissive remarks, and subtle digs suddenly crystallized into one truth. Emily doesn't respect me. She never has. Here's something. I own a house I inherited from my late parents. Daniel and I live in our own home, so the inherited one is fully in my name. I also have a substantial amount of money my parents left me. My original plan was to leave the house and the money to Emily when I pass, to keep my parents' legacy in the family. But after Christmas, I thought, why? Why would I give my parents' hard-earned property to someone who openly mocks the way I chose to live my life? Who has made it abundantly clear she sees me as a failure? So I made an appointment with my lawyer. I rewrote my will. The house and the money will now go to a charity that supports single mothers, women who are doing everything they can to raise their kids, often without recognition or help. Women who, like me, know that caring for a home and family is hard, unglamorous work that still matters. I didn't tell Emily. I did tell Daniel, because I believe in being honest with my husband. His reaction: "You can't just cut her out over a gift." I told him it wasn't about the gift. It was about years of disrespect. The iron was just the final straw. I thought that would be the end of it. But apparently, Daniel decided Emily had a right to know, because 2 days later, my phone rang and it was Emily, and screaming. She accused me of being petty, jealous, and vindictive. She said I was punishing her for telling the truth about me. She actually had the audacity to say, "If you want to throw away your relationship with me over this, fine, I'll disown you." I told her calmly that she didn't need to disown me, because she'd made it clear long ago that she didn't value me as a person. I said, "I'm making sure my parents' legacy goes to people who will appreciate it." She hung up on me. Since then, Daniel has been trying to get me to reconsider. He says it's not fair to cut her out entirely, and that I'll regret it later. But I feel at peace with my decision. For once, I'm not letting Emily's opinion of me dictate what I do. Still, a small part of me wonders if I've gone too far. Is this really justice for years of disrespect, or am I letting one moment overshadow everything else? So, Reddit, am I the a-hole for writing my daughter out of my will after she humiliated me and made it clear she has no respect for me as a stay-at-home mother? Not the a-hole. OP's daughter didn't just give OP an iron. She gave OP a lifetime's worth of disrespect, wrapped in shiny paper. This wasn't about the gift's value. It was about the message. She spent years tearing OP down for OP's choices, belittling the work OP did to raise her, and holding up someone else's life as the only one worth admiring. The iron was a symbolic slap in the face. OP doesn't owe her a single cent from her estate. If she doesn't value OP while she is alive, why should she profit from OP's passing? Good on OP for giving it to people who will appreciate it. And now let's hear community's opinion. This is not about the resort versus the iron. This is about decades of contempt. Your daughter has shown you over and over that she sees you as less than because you stayed home to raise her. She even publicly humiliated you with that mistress comment, which was a completely vile thing to say. She's made it clear she values her mother-in-law for her career achievements, but sees zero worth in the fact that you raised her, managed a household, and supported her father. Leaving your inheritance to charity is the ultimate mic drop. She can be mad all she wants, but maybe she'll think twice before disrespecting you again. Not the a-hole. Your daughter has been running her mouth for years about how you've never done anything, and then proved her point by giving you a tool for chores while giving her mother-in-law a luxury experience. That wasn't cluelessness. That was deliberate. It was a public ranking of who she respects more, and you came dead last. She's furious because she thought no matter how she treated you, the inheritance was guaranteed. Actions have consequences. She chose to treat you like the help, so she doesn't get the reward of your hard-earned or inherited assets. Period. The entitlement here is unbelievable. She's shamed you for your life choices, demeaned your marriage, idolized another woman over her own mother, and capped it all off by gifting you something that screams maid, while gushing over her mother-in-law's achievements. Now she's shocked that you don't want to leave her your property and money? That's not petty. That's boundaries. If she can't respect you as a person, she doesn't deserve to benefit from your legacy. Give it to the single mothers who will actually value what it means to sacrifice for a family. My fiance's mom hates me. She has been nothing short of the mother-in-law from hell, and she has his ex on a pedestal. My fiance and I have the same wedding date as his ex, which is kind of crazy. But anyone planning a wedding right now knows how hectic everything is, due to so many weddings being postponed during virus. And getting any date, let alone a perfect date, is hard. I've always known that she preferred the ex and wanted him to marry her. This used to really bother me, and we even tried to get her to cut contact. But that blew up spectacularly, and there was a huge fight. His ex works for mother-in-law as a hair and makeup artist, somewhat of an assistant, and they're still very close. Mother-in-law recently sat us down and said she could only come to our ceremony and then would be leaving to make it to his ex's ceremony. She said she didn't want to fight about it as she had thought long and hard, and it felt right to her as his ex has no family. We were both furious, and the more I stewed on it, the more angry I was for my fiancé. I let mother-in-law know that we would not try and change her mind, but something needs to be super clear. We will never do a thing for her. She is losing her right to be considered immediate family, and she needs to plan accordingly. There will be no care when she's elderly, no financial help. She will never ever live with us. Mother-in-law became furious. She said I was manipulative, and that was so insulting as she has never asked anyone for money. She has thrived career-wise, and she said I'm insulting her career. I said I know she has done very well, but really anything can happen. Mother-in-law said it was unforgivably insulting, as she had been financially independent since she was a teen, and now she isn't talking to us. The whole family is taking her side and saying it was a weird threat. To be honest, I don't think she's going to need our money, but I just wanted my point to be clear, that there will be no help whatsoever when she is old. Not the a-hole. Sure, family is family, but she's literally choosing her son's ex over her own son. That is insane, and I wouldn't help her ever either or consider her family. The ex can take care of her. Everyone sucks here, and only because I'm granting you the benefit of the doubt that your mother-in-law has been over the top in her efforts to get your fiancé back together with his ex. Otherwise, I'd say it sounds like she's come to see this girl as a daughter, which makes her not wanting her to be alone on her wedding day despite the bad timing understandable. You're allowed to be uncomfortable or disappointed about that, but you don't get to go issuing threats on your fiancé's behalf. And it was a weird threat, given that I can't see a universe in which you'd willingly give her significant support or let her live with you anyway. Yes, the a-hole. This is weird and obviously uncomfortable. However, your fiancé should be the one speaking to her for the both of you, not you. You have no business threatening her and making rules. This kind of behavior may be why she doesn't care for you. My adult kids have exes who we were very fond of and still are. It doesn't mean we don't support their current relationships. People move on. They were still, by and large, good people. If this woman has no one and they are close and she's choosing between a bitter, angry woman who threatened her and the ex, I'd choose the ex myself. I'm super confused by all the yes, the a-holes. Your threat and delivery were awkward, for sure, but I completely understand the sentiment behind them. This isn't choosing between two friends or extended family members that happen to have weddings on the same day. This is her son, and she is choosing to attend someone else's wedding. I cannot understand how anyone thinks that's okay, and why people are trying so hard to find a reason that she hates you enough to justify it. She has made it clear that she's not close to the two of you, and that's her choice, but it's absolutely your choice to proceed accordingly. Not the a-hole. People really gonna ignore the fact she finds the wedding of the ex just as, if not more important, than the wedding of her son. Go no contact with her. It's obvious where her priorities are, which isn't her son. My family is a mess. A few years ago, my father gave me some money towards a down payment on a home. At the time, repayment was discussed as, if ever you find yourself doing better financially, pay me back. If not, don't worry. I did commit to paying him back eventually, and I do plan to. I'm just weeks away from having a baby, and now is not the right time to transfer a lump sum of this amount to him. It's important to mention that he has always struggled with alcohol and recently retired, which has led to a huge uptick in his drinking and has also led to a lot of bad decisions, such as paying to run a bar out of his own pocket instead of working to make a profit. My father has been married to his wife for about 15 years. She has spent most of this time living halfway around the world and requesting large sums of money to support herself and her 2 adult children. None of these 3 have jobs. My father and her meet a few times a year to go on holiday together. My dad also lives common law with a woman and is supporting her and her adult son. Neither of them work. His wife is blissfully unaware of this, it seems. My father has recently come to me demanding the money he gave me in a lump sum, as his girlfriend, not his wife, and her son are asking for more than he can afford to give them. I explained to him that I'm literally weeks away from having a baby, so giving him a lump sum won't happen. I also have concerns about where this money is going. I offered to make a payment each month to a savings account that he can use towards medical care or any sort of care he will need as he ages. I've also offered to make a payment directly to him each month as opposed to giving him a lump sum that he will just waste. He is still demanding the money in a lump sum. Fast forward to today. His wife is calling me repeatedly, demanding the money in a lump sum, and being very nasty. The story my father told her is vastly different than what's actually going on. I'm considering just telling her why suddenly he's demanding this money, to give to his mistress and her son, to get her off my back. Would I be the a-hole if I do this? I'd be lying if this decision wasn't partly fueled by my disdain for my dad's bad decisions. I want to say everyone sucks here. Him for having this affair situation and painting you in a bad light to his wife, but also you for trying to dictate the terms on which you'll give him his money back. The installments portion sounds fine since your father lent the money to you supposedly without any urgency to get it back. And your intentions regarding the fund for when he gets older are good. But it really isn't your place to restrict the ways he can use the cash that you're returning to him, as opposed to gifting him. I don't have a judgment really. I'd pay him back as soon as humanly possible and never ask him for money again. If you borrow money from someone like your dad, the money is never the only debt. Even if you did tell his wife, I doubt she'd believe you. She might think you're just trying to weasel out of it. Simply say very firmly that you'll pay him back as soon as you can. Anything else she says is noise. And let your dad know that if he doesn't get her off your back, you'll be forced to tell her the real story. How about you have another convo with your dad? Remind him of the original agreement around this loan and tell him that you do not think it is fair that he is changing the terms for such a reason. Tell him also you don't appreciate him telling his wife a farce so that she will call you to harass you. Tell him if he really wants to press the issue, you can tell her the real reason he wants this money, the entire reason, and see how adamant she is about it then. As someone else posted, it might help to have some proof. Maybe you can take pictures proving they are all living together, or send your dad an innocuous message asking him about his girlfriend and why she needs this. That way, you have his BS in writing. Me, 25 male, and my brother Jack, 27 male, and his wife Jill, 25 female. It all started when Jack and Jill got pregnant. Their lease almost ended and my parents invited them to stay at our house. The day they came, Jack asked me why I haven't moved out of my room yet. I was confused, like, what the duck? And he told me that he and Jill will be at my room and I go to the guest room. I refused, but my parents got mad. We got into a fight. I lost and ended in the much smaller guest room. Then Jill had a problem with my cooking. I eat scrambled eggs with mozzarella and avocado every day for breakfast, and she couldn't stand the smell. She asked me to stop. I refused. My parents got involved. I had to stop. There were problems with other food too, and I had to stop cooking them. I was told I must be more accommodating because she was pregnant. Like, that is my problem. Then Jill started to boss me around. We were alone for 8 hours while my parents and Jack worked. She obviously thought I would be her personal maid. I refused. She threw a temper tantrum, like always, and again, I had a big fight with Jack and my parents. I was told that she had a high-risk pregnancy and was on bed rest, and I'm an a-hole for not helping her. I told Jack that he knocked her up. It's his responsibility. I stood my ground, and in the end, Jill's cousin came to help her sometimes. Then, Jill gave birth to my nephew. I congratulated them when they came home, and that's it. I don't like babies, so I mostly keep to myself now. But that doesn't stop Jill from asking for favors. Please watch the baby while I take a quick shower. Please watch it while I make myself some food, etc. I always refuse, and we all have new fights over and over again. It all came to a head last Friday when she asked me to watch my nephew while she goes to pharmacy for baby formula. I refused. She got mad and we had a fight. She grabbed her purse to go anyway, and I told her that the moment she walks out that door, I will call the police for child abandonment. I was serious, and she knew it. She broke down and screamed what a horrible human being I am. Then she ran to her room. She had a complete mental breakdown. When Jack and my parents came home, we had the biggest fight yet. Jack accused me of hating Jill and my nephew, among other things. I told him I refused to bond because they will weaponize him against me. My parents told me enough is enough, that they can't believe they raised such a selfish human being, and that either I help or I move out. I'm thinking of second option. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I work from home and pay 50% of all household expenses, including mortgage. Jack and Jill don't contribute anything for expenses. Everyone sucks here. There are some valid reasons for you to be upset, including having to change your eating habits for sister-in-law and losing your room when you contribute 50% of the household expenses. Really, just move out, because you'll be much happier. That being said, dude, the woman is alone with a newborn and clearly struggling to cope. You complain about her a lot, but I'm not hearing anything about how little it seems your brother is doing, which is leading her to rely on you so much. It is a-holish to not let the poor woman shower or watch the baby, aka listen to a baby monitor, while she runs to the store for food real quick. I get not wanting to be the person she relies on, but rather than acting like a jerk and starting fights, have a calm conversation and point out that you aren't the child's parent. If you were handling this better, you'd be 100% not the a-hole. You don't want to live with a baby, so move out and you'll be happier. Not the a-hole. Move out. Take your money and sanity and run. When they can't make mortgage or bills, remind them they kicked you out and you have no obligation to pay bills where you don't live. Absolutely do not give them a dime. They chose the baby mama over their own child, and it's going to cost them. Not the a-hole. For everyone saying she was getting milk for the baby. And doesn't take away from the fact that it is not OP's baby, and that nobody forced sister-in-law to have the baby. She and the brother chose to have the baby, and as such is their problem and responsibility. Also, OP pays half the bills, including mortgage, and brother pays nothing. So, my brother and his ex-wife separated last year, and they finalized everything in their divorce recently. They have a 6-year-old son together, and I noticed my brother hasn't really been a part of his son's life since the separation, the way he used to, and when I had asked him about it, he said that she has full custody and that's that. Since our family all have kids around the same age, we always throw big parties for them where we rent out a space and hire different forms of entertainment. We usually do this every summer and once during the school year. It's always really fun, and throughout the years, we've opened it up to our kids' friends as well. So it's always a huge celebration, and like a mini carnival. We had to cancel the summer party this year because of a destination wedding, so we are having a huge party tomorrow instead. It came out last week that my ex-sister-in-law has a social media account where she started posting about how her and her ex-husband had to use a sperm donor because he couldn't have kids, and how that since their separation, he disowned his son and doesn't want any relationship with him anymore. My sister's friend sent her the account, and she has a few thousand followers, and it's like 10 videos talking about the process and answering people's questions. When we asked our brother about it, he already knew, because someone had shown him, and he was having multiple breakdowns because this was a sensitive subject he didn't want anyone to know about, and that she's doing this as revenge because he's not in his son's life. I was disgusted by the behavior. If my brother doesn't want to be in his son's life, he doesn't have to be. To expose a secret he hadn't even told our parents to the world was appalling. To my complete surprise, my sister-in-law had the nerve to message me a few days ago asking for the address to the party. I called her and told her that we know about her little account, and that she and her son have no place at our party, and that she's disgusting for even asking. She told me multiple kids in her son's grade are going, and I told her that's not my business, and to lose all of our numbers. She then had the nerve to post a video about our call, and multiple people in the comments have been calling me all sorts of horrible names, and a-hole. I didn't care, since my entire family agrees that she or him don't go. But a student in my daughter's class's mom, who must be friends with my ex-sister-in-law that's always attended the party, messaged me saying her daughter won't be attending because of my childish, disgusting attitude, and she will be telling others the same. I've been sick about that ever since. Am I the a-hole? She did expose my brother's deepest secret. And also, this isn't a party you can just drop off. Parents are required to stay since there's multiple events going on, and we don't want to be liable, and we don't want her there. Am I interpreting this correctly? Your brother and his then-partner had a child together using sperm donor. Your brother now doesn't want anything to do with his child? If I am, then your brother is a massive a-hole for thinking he can just opt out of parenting. And yes, the a-hole for thinking his choice is okay. I don't particularly like what your sister-in-law is doing, but in my honest opinion, it pales in comparison to your brother's decision to walk away from his responsibilities to this child. Yes, the a-hole. This child has been in your life for 6 years, and you are okay with your brother turning his back on him because you aren't biologically related? Your brother deserves to be called out. Yes, the a-hole, as well as your brother. He disowned his son after the divorce because he was conceived via a sperm donor. Your brother has been that boy's father for 6 years, and he just abandoned him. I don't agree with your ex-sister-in-law's social media account airing the family laundry, but I understand that she is angry and hurting on your nephew's behalf. You're being petty and vindictive by not allowing your nephew to attend. Shame on all of you. Update. I decided it wouldn't be right to not let my nephew come at least, so I did contact my ex-sister-in-law and told her they could come. She said she didn't feel comfortable coming, but her mother would bring him since he really wanted to go. The party was on Saturday and went amazing. He did come with his grandma and everything went fine. I realized I was taking a lot of my anger on nephew and ultimately hurting him when in reality I was upset with ex-sister-in-law. Our family is choosing between our brother or his ex's family, and we all chose him, not realizing our nephew is still our family. The shock of finding out he's not our blood shouldn't have made us estranged from him. Our brother is still upset we are still including my nephew, and said his therapist said this shouldn't have happened, and we are wrong. It was hard telling him our choice to allow him in our lives, since we agreed to leave my brother's past in the past. But my sisters and I are planning to sometime next week. He's under the impression we have no contact with either our ex-sister-in-law or nephew, and says he doesn't want us to have any contact with either, saying when he's ready to date again, it will drive women away that his family is still in contact with his ex and a child that's not even his. He would be furious if he knew our nephew was at the party with a member of his ex-sister-in-law's family, but it's honestly not his business what we choose to do. It's a hard conversation we're going to have.